So that's it. Now there's time to show off a little bit. Stay out of that square though. Still want to keep that ball under control. In! Hi guys, welcome to week 10 of the video diary. Tonight's going to be a bit of a funny session. A couple of reasons for that. First of all, it's very cold. We're getting into single digit figures Celsius as far as the temperature here is concerned. And also, we've just had it announced that there's going to be a 4-week break due to a national lockdown because of COVID. So I'm not sure how the girls are going to react to that. I don't know how they're going to be feeling about things. It has been announced to their parents. Whether they've been told or not, I'm not sure. So it's something I'm just going to have to play by ear. It was also supposed to be the start of us developing a new phase, whereas the last few practices our focus has been what we're doing in and around the penalty area. Now it's starting to look at how we get to the penalty area so we can create those chances, namely build-up play. So today's practice, we're still going to be moving ahead with that. There's going to be a warm-up which is going to give them lots of touches. Then we're going to go into a 1v1 activity which is going to progress into a 2v2 and then a 4v4 with 2 balls, where the aim of the game is keeping possession, moving it from one player to the next to get points, but also being able to retain possession as an individual if that pass isn't available. And then I'm going to progress into a 4v4 game where the pitch is going to be broken into thirds, no goalkeepers, and they can only score in the final third. Once again, focusing on that build-up play from their own goal, their own defensive third even, up to the opponent's defensive third, and hopefully creating those opportunities to score. We're going to do a warm-up game called In and Out. So, can everyone see this red cone here, this red cone here, this red cone here, and this red cone here? So can I borrow your ball, Grace? If I say in, everyone, you're going to dribble into this red square and dribble around and try and avoid everyone else, getting as many touches as you can, not walking, moving as quick as you can at the same time.
Do you have to count your touches?
You can count them. If I say out, you come out of the red box and you've got a little bit more space now to move. You can have heavier touches, do some turns, show off with some fancy moves, whatever you want. Okay? Got that?
Yeah.
All right. In. So think about how close those touches need to be, girls. You've got to stay in that square. Try not to bump into anyone. Harriet, you're out of the square at the moment. Get in there, get in there. Out! So that's it. Now there's time to show off a little bit. Stay out of that square though. Still want to keep that ball under control. In.
The warm-up was there to allow the players to use multiple parts of their feet to control the ball in different situations. Some in tight spaces and some when they have a little bit more space so they can have a heavier touch. The practice allowed them to build into the 1v1 and get comfortable on the ball so that when they was going to have pressure from a defender, that foot-eye coordination and that ball manipulation was going to be a lot more secure and hopefully was going to allow them to have a lot more success.
Question. How many different parts of the foot can we use? Brooke. How many? Want a number answer?
5.
5. What are they?
Laces, inside, outside, sole.
Okay, so we've just said it all. Laces, inside, outside, toes, and the sole. So girls, when we're in these tight areas, can I have the ball please? It's probably going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot of the inside, the outside, and the sole because you're trying to move the ball in different directions. Okay? When we say out, it's probably going to be a little bit more of the laces and the toe because you've got that space to run in straight lines. If you need to turn around, we go back to using the inside and the outside. But I want you using all those different parts of the foot. I'm going to throw in another command now, which I'm sure you'll all love. If I say right, it's right foot only. If I say left, it's left foot only. Okay? Out!
The progression was there to get the players to become more comfortable using both feet. Obviously, when they play a game, they can't dictate what foot the ball is going to come to. Sometimes they might need to use their left foot, sometimes they might need to use their right foot. So putting that condition in, not just in the warm-up, but in main portions of practices as well, is a good way to allow them to become more confident and more comfortable using both feet.
Right, very simple activity. It's just, right now, a 1 versus 1 in your square. So, Isla can have the ball. If I'm against Isla, I'm just don't sit on the ball please, you're not a chicken, stand up. Thank you. So if I've got the ball, Isla's trying to get it off me, I'm just shielding and protecting, okay? Best as I can. If I go out of the square, I give the ball to Isla, and now she's got possession and I've got to get it off her, okay? So whoever touches it last, if it goes out of the square, the other person gets to start with the ball. What I'll say is if you can keep the ball for 10 touches without the other person touching it, without it going out, I'll give you a point. Okay?
Wait, but after you did that, do you still get the ball?
If you score a point, see if you can get another 10 without them touching it. Okay? Keep scoring. Yeah, don't give the ball to them, just keep it. So yours is the blue one. Blue to blue to blue to blue. You've got all this space in here. Let's go. Yeah, blue square.
From a build-up play point of view, players are not always going to have the opportunity to play a pass or to dribble the ball forward. Sometimes they might need to protect it, and that's why I started with the 1v1 to give them that idea of shielding the ball, keeping it on the safe side, and recognising when that space was available for them to be able to dribble into. The 1v1 groups also allowed me to speak to groups individually while allowing other players to carry on taking part in the practice.
So, what things do we need to be aware of?
The attack, the person tackling. Where's the attacker?
Okay, so what does that, well, if I've got the ball, what do we need to be aware of? Let me change the question. Okay, and then what, in relation to that, then what do I need to do?
Look behind your shoulder.
Give me the ball. Right, Freya's the defender. What's the first thing I've done?
Look behind your shoulder. Kept it away.
Shielded the ball, right? Yeah, shielded the ball. Now I've shielded the ball, what else do I need to be aware of? We've said the defender.
Where the cones are.
So what about the square?
Because you've only got a little square and you need to get some little
So what in the square do I need to know? Begins with an S.
space.
Where the space is. Freya's there, the space is there. So I don't need to stand there, I'm going to dribble into that space, so I'm getting away from her all the time. Once again, now things have changed. The space is where? Behind her. Okay, so right now I feel comfortable. If she wants to stand there, great, I'm keeping the ball. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. When she moves, I can make that turn and dribble into that space. Once again, I'm getting my touches. All the time, I'm keeping that ball shielded. Okay? There's something to think about there.
From a coaching point of view, I wanted the players to be able to recognise where the space was available when they're being pressured, how they need to shield the ball, and then taking the ball into that space once it becomes available. Obviously, good build-up play is going to see us passing and dribbling the ball forward from one section to the next. However, in a game situation, that opportunity is not always going to be available, so I wanted the girls to understand how to protect the ball and how to turn and take the ball forward when that opportunity presents itself.
So what we're looking to do is find that opportunity to face our teammate. Get yourself a bit of space, Isla. Bit of space. Isabel, just let me pass to her right now. And if I can pass it across, that's a point for my team. Same thing, Isabel can now try and get it off Isla. Isla's got to try and, I've got to try and get away from Brooke. Oh, ball's gone out. That'll be the orange ball. Okay? So that's how the game's going to work now, girls. Every time you're able to pass the ball from one square to the other in your teammate, that's a point for you two. Okay? Off you go.
I was hoping that the progressions were going to encourage the players to recognise when to pass the ball across and when to keep it in their own square away from the person marking them, as well as the receiving player finding space to receive the pass. As you can see, instead what has happened is that players are trying to force passes across, trying to score points as quickly as possible without observing everything that's going on. So I wanted to bring up them recognising the space, recognising where the defenders are, recognising when the pass is available and recognising when to keep the ball.
First of all, where is my partner? And can I pass to them? Right now, if I'm on Isla's team, that is not a nice pass for me. So, if I can't play that pass, what else is probably going to be happening to me at the same time? Brooke's trying to get this ball, so I've got to keep it moving. Okay? And while that's happening, what's Isla going to have to keep doing? Moving. Isla, right now you're not even in the square, so why on earth would I give you the ball? Okay, good. Now, while I'm dribbling, what else do I need to be doing now? Protecting the ball, finding space, and keeping an eye on Isla to see if she's open. I don't think you're open right now. If you control that ball, Isla, it's going to come straight out of your square. Now, this is the next thing, and every time I've run this practice a few times in the last few weeks. Stop there, girls. And the same thing happens every single time. Step to the side. The person receiving just, step to the side, out the square, just does this. How much space have you got? Loads. So why wouldn't I move into the most space? I'm in. Right now, I'm wide open. And if Freya wants to pass me that ball, yes, she can, and Isabel ain't going to get there. Okay.
Unfortunately, despite the coaching points being delivered, there was little improvement in terms of the movement off the ball, as well as the decision making on the ball to recognise when to pass and when to keep it. In hindsight, there's a few changes I could have made. I could have allowed players to score points for the touches on the ball as well as the pass across. I could have said they needed to take X amount of touches before passing the ball across. Or I could have added a goal so that when the ball was passed across, the receiving player had a chance to score. And obviously, if that chance wasn't there, they could then pass it back to their teammate who might have been in a better position. Sometimes things like this happen, and we just have to roll with the punches and move on to the next portion of the practice.
So what I've done, I've split the pitch into 3. So you see where these white discs are? Yeah? So one here, a middle, and a final bit. You can only score once the ball is in that final section of the pitch. So if I'm scoring here, you can't just shoot from here, because that's wrong. Okay, you've got to get past this line before you can. Okay? Does that make sense? Yeah. No, teams are staying as they are. Right. Girls. Now, ladies. What did I say the focus was at the start of today's session? Begins with a B. No. No, so we want to get to the penalty box. So what was that called? Okay, I'll remind you. It's what we call build-up play. So we're building the ball up the pitch. Exactly. Now, girls, in terms of this game, because I only want to stop it once or twice, what things do you think I'm looking for based on what we've done today? Okay, thinking about... Okay, what about space? girls, exactly, it's that bit of awareness, right, and that recognition as well. If you can't go forward, you can't dribble forward, you can't pass to someone else, being happy to keep the ball. Now it might be Isla standing in front of me, I'm attacking that way, and Isla's in my way, I can't go forward, so I might have to dribble back towards here. And now I've moved her, that space has opened up to then go forward, okay? So I'm just looking for that little bit of awareness in terms of when we can attack and when we might have to keep the ball and be a little bit patient. All right?
I spoke to the girls about the things I was looking for in the game before we started. The reason for this is that I wanted it fresh in their heads, and with it being the last practice for 4 weeks, I also wanted to give them enough time to allow the game to flow without me having to step in and stop it. They had a good 15 minutes or so to play a game, and as with any game, players tend to do a lot better the more they get into it, rather than stopping, starting. A situation develops where one of our players recognises that she can't turn, so she plays the ball back to a player who is facing forward and can play a forward pass or dribble forward. And that was something I wanted to highlight as a positive coaching point.
Stop! Okay, girls, this is the last thing I want to say, and then I'm just going to let you play. Don't move, don't move, don't move. What do we like about Freya's decision then?
She passed it back
Why?
because there was no option out.
Because she had a player behind her, she couldn't turn, okay, and Evie was in front of her wide open. So we recognise, you know what, I can't go forward right now, so she's passed it back to Evie. When Evie was in the space, what did you see, Evie?
I didn't really see the goal much to see what the
But did you see anyone?
I saw Freya go back.
Zara. Who made that run forward? Isla. Okay. So Evie was in a position then to play the pass forward for Isla to run onto. Okay, and get us in an attacking position. Sadly, because of how fast the surface was, it was just a little bit too quick. But that ability to say, you know what, I can't go forward, so we're going to have to build our attack another way, allowed us the opportunity to get the ball in behind the defenders, and with a slightly softer pass, Isla would have had a great chance to score. Nice play, Pinks. Oranges, you got a goal kick. Last couple of minutes, girls.
It's important that we break down the positives as well as times when a decision could have been better, so that the players are aware of it, as opposed to just saying something like good pass, good turn, etc. As we can see how the game has developed, players are recognising that they can't always go forward, and that moving the ball backwards or sideways is a better option in order to allow them to eventually attack. Some of the passing is a little bit wayward, but this is something we can work on in future practices.
So guys, practice finished a few days ago and I've had a little bit of time to think about how the session went and what changes I would have made going forward. I think a couple of things that really stood out for me in hindsight. First of all, that we didn't get to the 4v4 part of the main practice. It's one of the restrictions about only having an hour for a session. I want to make sure that the players have at least 15 to 20 minutes at the end to play a game. Ultimately, they're grassroots players, so that game at the end is important for them. I know some coaches prefer to stick with things until players get it right and they progress through. For me, the social context and the decision-making elements of the game have to be allowed to happen in practice. So I was quite comfortable with the fact we just got to the 2v2 portion of the practice. Also, looking back at the main portion of the practice, as expected, because it's something I've ran with other groups over the past few weeks, the pair started getting closer and closer and closer together and forgetting about all of the space that they had in the squares, trying to force passes when they weren't available. So looking back, I think in the future I'd add a goal and be looking for that ball to be played across to the other square, and then that receiving player is looking to make a decision as to whether they can shoot, whether they need to protect and shield the ball, or whether they can pass it back to their teammate who's in a little bit of space to then have a shot at goal themselves. When we got to the game portion of the practice, I was quite happy with how things turned out. I was pleased with the spacing, I was pleased with the communication, I was pleased with the positioning, I was pleased with the fact the girls organised themselves. And it was also nice to see a couple of moments where players recognise, you know what, I can't turn, I can't just go forward. Maybe I've got to dribble sideways or pass sideways, or I've got to drop the ball back to someone who's in a better position to look at the opposing goal. So that build-up play from 1/3 to the final third was certainly happening.